Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Yona of the Dawn, chapter 211. Let's get underway because honestly, I think it just must be, once again, a little bit of translation error potentially. But this scene, the first part of this chapter, confuses the situation that I was bringing up at the end of the last chapter even further. Once again, if you guys didn't check out the review, I said that when your quarterback is down, for a quick analogy of what basically went down for the last chapter, I said that when your quarterback gets injured, you don't replace the coach. So the idea that Kye-Sook goes to Yona because Gwen-Tai is injured makes very little sense to me. They should be looking for a replacement general, not a replacement commander-in-chief, which is what soo-won would be in this scenario. Not to say there is another potential here that this was just ironic timing, but it's very coincidental, and honestly, it appears from the last chapter that all this went down because Gwen-Tai got injured. I just think that it's just not making a whole lot of sense, maybe in my head. Maybe you guys understand it. I don't really, but because it feels like these are two separate issues. That soo-won might not be able to survive the entire campaign or be eligible or able to survive the whole campaign day in and day out. So having Yona there, we've seen, maybe you could say the correlation is we've seen the damage that Gwen-Tai being down and out is going to force on the troops. If soo-won isn't present, that's going to dampen the morale even further, and that's detrimental to our new war campaign, right? So you could argue that, but it just seems a little slim. Like, they should be talking about who are they going to put now in charge of the Earth Tribe? Who are they going to put in charge of one of the main armies that's going forward to Kai? That should be their main worry right now, is trying to find a general that the Earth Tribe will listen to when Gwen-Tai is down and out. That should be their main concern. Not that this is not a concern, but I think it's just starting to confuse me, because not only that, in this scene in the beginning of chapter 211 here, what we get is Kye-Sook pretty much saying, you don't need to fight or strategize. Okay, so she's there to stand there and look pretty. And this is brought up by jae-ha and stuff like that from before when that happened. You're there to stand there and look pretty, just to have the presence of a morale boost. You're just there to be the flag of the country, pretty much, that people look up to, sort of idea, right? That's literally what he's asking her to do. Not to fight, nor to strategize, or really realistically be involved at all, though we know Yona, she will be involved. But then also to say the 4 dragons with you, to bring a morale boost. So what you're trying to tell me here is that you're going to have Yona and the 4 dragons, armies unto themselves, or at the very least battalions unto themselves. You're going to have them all sit back in the commander-in-chief's tent. Not making the best decisions. To be fair, Kye-Sook is absolutely exhausted at this point, and that is noted at the end of the scene. Nonetheless, I'm just finding this very strange. Once again, it could be a translation thing. It could have been said, like, we want the 4 dragons to fight, or maybe I'm interpreting the line wrong. Like, oh yeah, we want you at back, and then you tell the dragons to go to the front. But we don't want you to strategize, but we need you and the dragons. And also stating on the battlefield. Now, technically, a commander-in-chief's tent can be on the battlefield at the back of the line and stuff. Generally speaking, though, for a lot of campaigns, it's not exactly. They usually stay so far back that they're not really involved. They don't even hear the fighting, right? So I'm not 100% sure on exactly what direction the scene was trying to say. And then it gets confused even further because jae-ha and automatically says, hey, if your plan is to, I went along with it in the tournament, and this is something that I'm grateful for, because our characters have been acting a little outside their personalities, outside their characters, ever since this arc started. I had the biggest problem with Yona, but the dragons weren't acting like themselves either, even Hawk to some extent. But here, jae-ha acting more like himself, saying, hey, I let that shit slide last time, but if you make it seem like this is like a wedding ceremony on the battlefield, I'm not going to be a part of it. And Shina says the same deal, basically saying, I absolutely despise this. I loathe this idea and stuff. Now, Yona I don't really see, once again, this could be the translation, but the resolution seems to be flawed in my opinion. Because there is no resolution. They talk about this, And they basically say, yeah, well, damage done, so basically you have to go along with it. And then Yona says, yeah, well, I'm not actually lying, and people know it's not the truth. So, like once again, we got back to characterization for jae-ha, but Yona's doing that whole, like, well, I didn't lie, but I'm not telling everybody the truth, so it's a free pass, it's a freebie. That attitude is a little, like, wrong for our character of Yona. And also, like, what is he consulting soo-won about? Like, because jae-ha said, what do you think soo-won thinks about this? And then he says, yeah, well, I'll go consult soo-won at the end of the scene, and basically says, hey, like, about a wedding ceremony? He goes, no, not that. Well, then what about? What are you consulting him on? Like, I feel like I missed a line of dialogue or something that could have happened, but I just found that the rest of the chapter seemed totally fine, like the fixes to the I'm the Sky Tribe's infantry soldier and stuff with Hawk and stuff. That's all been fixed for this chapter, translation and everything. I just found the dialogue in the first part of this chapter with the dragons and Kye-Sook and stuff, found it very difficult to follow, and like they seem to jumble all over the place. So I'm not really sure what really went down. Apparently, they don't like the idea that soo-won and Yona are perceived to now be a couple together, engaged, married, etc. But as Kye-Sook points out, well, it's kind of like too bad because the soldiers already believe it. And Yona's like, well, yeah, but I'm not going to tell anybody the truth. That's not the same as lying. And that's a bullshit lawyer argument, Yona. Good job. You got into politics and you're already acting like a sleaze. And then it's like, so I just did not like this. It could be the translation. It could be the direction. I don't think the scene was very well structured, even if it's not just the translation. If it's just, because I'm missing something from this scene. I just don't get it. But yeah, nonetheless, the chapter itself, very, very good, because we do have jae-ha acting like himself, saying, like, I'm not taking part in this shit, even though he sort of backs down, but nobody really brings it up. The situation is not resolved, as far as I'm concerned. But Shina and Kija has some funny moments and stuff, but jae-ha and Shina, they both express their opinions very, like, resolute sort of idea, acting like themselves, and that's a really good part. So even though I found the scene, the first part of the chapter, to be very sort of confusing, not resolving anything, and I just, like, once again, back to the argument from the last review, my quarterback is down, so I'm going to bring in a stellar coach. Still don't got a quarterback. Don't know what your plan is, but okay. So yeah. So that all being said, the next part of the chapter is actually really well done, and there's a line halfway through that I think we all missed, and it's like sort of a little bit of fourth wall breaking a little bit, but I definitely really liked it, because Hawk and Yona, of course, are still there at the border of the Earth Tribe there. They're going their way to Awa, to find the herb and all that fun jazz. And now that the general is apparently stable, but he's still not regained consciousness, Yon said he's done all he can. There's doctors coming from, I'm assuming, I didn't recognize the name, but I'm assuming it's the Earth Tribe capital or something like that. They're going to be here and stuff, but you can tell the soldiers already, their morale is in the dumps. It's in the toilet, and it's been flushed. Like, there is no optimism whatsoever. Even some soldiers are like, hey, stop talking like that. Stop talking like that. The general is not dead yet, sort of idea. And people, they're just, like, they're completely crushed. The people are crushed. The soldiers have lost all will to fight. And this is where they're choosing, like, of course, once they're stable and stuff, they, I guess, spend the night, it seems like. And then in the morning, Yon and Hawk are sort of, all right, let's pack our stuff, let's get ready to take off and stuff, and everyone's sort of like looking at them like, can't you stay? And it's sort of like, and they're judging them pretty harshly. I find that this is a little unfair, because they're judging them pretty harshly. Like, they were just passing through. Would you have blamed them if they hadn't have just so happened to show up last time? It's like, you weren't here to save us. It's like, they were just passing through on their way to another place. Like, what do you want here, right? So I found that there, of course, this is where it's understandable, though, because the morale is so low. They're like, the only reason we survived is the Thunder Beast, Like, maybe he'll stay and help us until the general feels better and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I helped you by. And everyone's just like, how can you leave us, sort of idea. But, of course, in that situation, these guys are their morale has been hit, their pride has been hit, they're wearing their emotions on their sleeves, so to speak, and they're just feeling like, oh, fine, turn away from us. I got too much going on right now. They're stressed and anxieties to the max, right? So, and I understand that, and that works out great. What I love in this scene is that we see all that. They set this up extremely well. We see just scene after scene of different people throughout them just going like, without the general, without the general, without the general. And then Hawk's about to leave. They hear about an enemy attack, and they're just like, oh, there's twice the amount of men as before, or whatever like that. It's like, oh, what are we going to do? We can't defeat them, blah, 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 blah. And then Hawk just finally says, he looks at Yona and says, hey, you think you can make it there by yourself? And then we get the line, then we get the, who do you think you're talking to? I'm the genius, beautiful, I'm the pretty boy, I'm the genius pretty boy. Of course I can make it on my own, sort of idea. And of course, this was a bit of fourth wall breaking that I really like, because Hawk said, it's been a long time since I've heard you say that. And it's like, yeah, because us as fans were like, of course, he's the genius pretty boy, and that's what he's always said. And we haven't heard him say that for a long time, and it is nice. It's acknowledged in chapter and stuff like that, and that really, yeah, okay, I'm there with Yona. We get some internal monologues from Yona and stuff about trying to comfort the little kid and stuff like that, about Gwentai's injuries and yada yada yada, and he's got to make it on his own. He's like, his job is to, of course, help people, and he's got to do his duty. Hawk's going to stay there and do his duty, and he's going to, right now with Gwentai down, he needs to lead them. There is a bit of a flaw here, though, I will say, with the Earth Tribe, is that their dependence on their general, not that isn't how real-world militaries work, but there has to be somebody. Where's his second? Where's his third? Where's his captains, his lieutenants that might not be as strong as him, but like, where's his commanders? Like, are you telling me that they, like, because part of their duty, you're telling me that Gwentai has only foot soldiers and himself? That's a terrible way to structure an army, because what happens when your general falls? What happens when a commander falls? You need another respected individual. It's almost sounds like, not that I'm saying that this is the way, but it sounds like the Earth Tribe is literally filled with just foot soldiers and infantry and Gwentai. And without him, you've cut the head off the dragon, and the dragon don't know what to do. And this is why in real military, you have captains and lieutenants and commanders and stuff to sort of write the, some of the most respected military leaders and commanders of all time were not the actual head of the army. They were middle, or even not even middle. Some lieutenants and captains and stuff were praised in certain wars. So it feels like there's nobody there to take Gwentai's place, and Hawk just happens to be there. But yeah, it's just something I noticed, because I was like, if Hawk wasn't here, this whole town would fall, the border would fall tomorrow. Like, wow, okay. But either way, maybe I'm wrong about that, but so Hawk decides he has this conversation with Yona. He shows up. He's a badass, of course, looking amazing on a double-page spread, and he basically says, everyone's like, oh, it's the Thunder Beast. The Thunder Beast is here. And he goes, see, now he can lead the Sky Tribe, the Fire Tribe, and now the Earth Tribe. Like, and the Wind Tribe. This dude is collecting tribes. Hawk is going to be the most, once again, it just makes the most sense. Yona might be a symbol, but Hawk is the one who is the sword. Once again, I believe that's part of the prophecy that's been said this whole time, that Hawk is the sword or the shield, one or the other. Soo-won and Hawk working together finally, officially, will then ignite the shield and sword. They are most likely the shield and sword, as far as I believe. But either way, I just really, really enjoy these panels showcasing Hawk. Of course, I'm a big Hawk fanboy. That poster's going up there one day. And yeah, like, Hawk is just such an amazing character. And then, of course, he says, like, it's Thunder Beast. It's like, well, good morning, gentlemen. Like, I'm from the 35th Infantry of the Sky Tribe. I'm just a regular soldier. My specialty is washing dishes. But if a lowly soldier like me, you can't even get past me. You don't have the right to fight the army. Let's frickin' go. So he slices down a couple of guys, and it's like, all right, let's fight. So I'm hoping the next chapter we're going to see him completely just decimate this number, because it's like, okay, they brought twice the men, but Hawk counts for 3 times, right? Like, that's the deal, right? So it's going to be extremely interesting to see the rest of the next chapter and stuff, which apparently isn't dropping until mid-August now. So we have a few weeks longer than normal, but it seems to be going back to monthly or whatever. It was bi-weekly. Now it seems like it's almost monthly again. I don't know if it's just a break or something like that. But either way, I think this chapter was really good. as I said, the dialogue in the first part sort of confusing, and I'm not really sure what Kye-Sook is thinking. And once again, there was no resolution to the whole wedding thing. They were flat out against it. Okay, you're flat out against it. Anyways, like, it seemed to be brushed off like it was no big deal, but anyways, but the rest of the chapter was really good. I liked seeing Yona say his thing. Of course, I'm really sort of worried about Yona. My only prediction here is that Yona is going to somehow get involved, somehow be in danger, somehow get kidnapped, and there's going to be another rescue arc. I hope that doesn't happen, because I think we really need to move forward with this war. We need to put the players in play. We can't have the hostage situation like last time. I think we just need to have a flat out, we're gonna have a war. I'm looking forward to it on that side. Not that there can't be other things shady stuff going on in the background, but I just hope it's not a war with a rescue intertwined again, because we've already seen that, we've already done that. Let's move on to the next war, right? So, but either way, what did you guys think of the chapter? I really enjoyed the chapter, thought it was pretty good, other than the confusing parts, which once again, that could be translation. Maybe I just didn't read it correctly. I read really fast, sometimes, and then I miss a line or a word, and it just screws everything up. So that's possible too. But tell me what you guys thought about the entire chapter. Like, comment, subscribe as always, and don't forget to drink responsibly as always. And we will see you guys back here next time for the next chapter, which apparently dropping mid-August. So stay tuned for that, guys. We will see you guys back here again next time. This has been Griever. Peace out.